My name is Felipe and today I'm going to be talking about the Johannine period, or the Peri odo Joanino. There was a period in Brazil marked by the presence of Portugal's royal family in our territory, more specifically Rio de Janeiro. Now, it is important to understand that Portugal was um, heavily dependent economically of England, so Portugal kind of depended on England to do commerce. Now, this is important because at the same time of the Johannine period, what was going on is the Napoleonic Wars. Now, at the time, Napoleon was kind of conquering Europe, and he had an idea of blocking England and making it so that they couldn't do commerce with any other country in the world. Now, for Portugal, this was scary because they knew that sooner or later, Napoleon, knowing that they were still doing commerce with England, would come knocking on their door and say, okay, either you stop doing commerce with England, or we will conquer your territory and attack you. Now, for Portugal, neither of those options were available because they could not just stop doing commerce with England, neither could they accept being attacked by Napoleon. So they took a third option and was basically running away to Brazil. Now, the royal family, in the night, they grab all their stuff, put it in a ship, and get shipped to Brazil. To make sure that Portugal was not going berserk after that, not two, but some England government officials were sent to Portugal to make sure that everything was going smoothly. Now, the royal family was coming to Rio de Janeiro, a region that at the time was not heavily modernized or did not come to any modern restructuring processes, so the city needed to be restructured and modernized during their coming to Rio de Janeiro. Also, a lot of homes were then rented or marked to be to the royals family and important people from Portugal at the time. So a lot of people were just strolling back to their home, trying after a day in the market, and then they see a little letter saying, "Your home is being rented to Portugal's government, to Portugal's royal family." Also, at the time, the restructuring of Rio de Janeiro made it so that a lot of gardens, a lot of museums, a lot of libraries and schools were built at the time. So a lot of Brazil's records of arts and books, they kind of began happening at that time because it was a process of Portugal trying to make it so that the Portugal's royal family felt welcomed in Rio de Janeiro. But it also began a process of the people beginning to think that Brazil is not a colony anymore. And this did not only happen because of the ideas that were already growing of we do not want to be a colony of Portugal, but also because of some events that happened during the royal family's stay at Brazil. One of those were the changing of Portugal's official name to Reino Unido de Portugal, Brasil e Algarves, which basically translates to United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil and Algarves. This made it so that Brazil was not seen as a colony, but rather part of Portugal's territory, part of Portugal's official territory. They're not seen as some sub-part of Portugal's territory. They're official. They are now, if you would look at a global map, you would see that Portugal and Brazil would be one single country. With this, the King of Portugal also opened the ports of Brazil to trading internationally, therefore ending the colonial pact. Now, for those of you who do not remember, the colonial pact was a pact between colony and metropolis, where the colony was obliged to only sell to the metropolis. Now that colonies is not even seen as a colony anymore and is selling to and trading internationally, they end the colonial pact. And also, Dom João VI was crowned king in Brazil. So after his father died, he was crowned king in Brazil. So all these ideas and all these events began boiling up the idea and the feeling of being free from Portugal and not being in a colony anymore. And this was something that people were actually liking. So when Napoleon falls and the idea, because of the Congress of Vienna, the idea of restructuring the monarchy and having the countries have their colonies again, Brazil did not like that. People from Brazil were kind of offended that the king was even considering this option. So they kind of tied him up to Brazil and they were arguing that you cannot live here, you need to stay. While the people of Portugal were kind of actually trying to pull him back to Portugal, him and the royal family, because after all, how could they say that they were a monarchy if like a proper monarchy if their king and queen and the royal family of Portugal is not even at their land? So at the time, many people say that this is when the independence process begins. Many people also argue that the Johannine period itself is a period where Brazil is not seen as a colony anymore, but this is up to debate to historians. But this was it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you the next time.